This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
G'day everybody, thanks for joining me. You know I appreciate it. I've got a ripper of a conversation to share with you. This one features Maurizio, Iacono from the group Kataklysm. Now the catalyst for the conversation is due to the launch of a new album from the group. It's titled Goliath. It is magnificent. It's very heavy. It'll say light of day on August 11, 2023. I've got a tune to share with you rather soon. I've selected the one that's available from Nuclear Blast, Die as a King. Now in this chat, yes, of course, we talk all about the music, but you know me by now, it's not just about the music. I branch out frequently into social, economic, and political issues, and this is one of those conversations. I really admire Maurizio for having an opinion on these subjects, one that he was prepared to share. So let's dive into the tune. If you're listening via the podcast apps, this one is Die as a King, as I've already mentioned. Once it's done, you'll hear from Maurizio. But you people on YouTube, you know the drill. I can't play music, so you'll hear from Maurizio right now. Either way, let's go.
Hey, Andrew, sorry I'm a little late.
No dramas whatsoever, Maurizio. How are you, mate?
Good, man. Good. The other one went a little over, but we're good.
Oh, good indeed. Yeah.
I've been
How have
going
you?
on since 11 this morning. So it's just been like, it's 5 o'clock now here. So
Oh, Jesus. I know you're not digging ditches and under the sun and having to burn your hands with asphalt, mate, but do you find it a bit of a grind after a while?
no, that's okay, man. I mean, what else am I going to do anyways? It's fine.
No, fair enough. Yeah. That's a long block, though, isn't it? Jeez, is that Nuclear Blast to set that up or is that management?
Well, I couldn't I did a couple of days last week, and then I had a lot of family members that were here visiting from Canada because we hadn't seen each other since the COVID thing. So it was like 4 years type of thing. And so there's a couple of days that I couldn't work on this. So basically they said, okay, well, because I don't do Mondays usually. So they were like, okay, we're going to do Monday. But then they added all the Australian on top, and because of you guys' messed up time frame, we had to. It starts at 5 for you guys, so we're here now with you. So,
no, fair enough,
cool,
mate. Yeah, cool. All right, look, I'll get stuck into things because I know you've got about 4 or 5 to go after me. So,
we're good,
all right,
though, man.
Here we go. So, look, I've admired the band for a long time now, and I know you've been in the group since the very beginning. First on bass, then you switched over to vocals, but we're now here at your 15th album. Can you believe that? With this band, anyway. I know you've done more elsewhere with Ex Deo, but look, just talking about the lyrical themes up top, I understand they're motivated by these unending scenes of chaos and disorder that fill social media streams and that are beamed into our living rooms if you still watch mainstream news. So were there any subjects in particular that you decided to focus on?
It's not a subject in particular, but it's the situation in general, to be honest. I think, when you're going 200 miles per hour, I'm not sure if it's miles or kilometers in Australia, but if you're going really fast in life every day, you're doing the grind, you tend not to pay attention to details and things that are happening around you. And, I think that when this pandemic happened, it put a halt to everything. And basically, it gave people time to reflect on things, to start realizing a lot of things are not normal. And, it just catapulted into this craziness that we have now, right? It started with the entire thing about, forcing people to do things that maybe they weren't comfortable with, to suppressing, opinions and things like that. And I had a big problem with that. Like, to be honest, there's two things that I really, really believe in that are part of, calling yourself a free person. And those are freedom of speech and also freedom of taking, of choice. And I think it's important. It's your body, in the end, people should decide what they want to do with it, and I think there was a lot of this craziness around that stuff. And I don't agree with that. And especially being metalheads, we're not the type of people to be conformists. We're very, we're outcasts in many ways. And already to be able to listen to metal, you have to be a special kind of person to understand it. And so I think that we've always been a type of person or people that question things. And I felt like even in our own industry, we had people that were siding with the narrative and like just being part of the whole system, which is, we've never been part of the machine, So basically Goliath is kind of coming out of the pandemic situation, and kind of putting like a mental aspect to it, which is, the people versus the machine,
Thank you for saying what you said. By the way, yes, we are under the hammer of left-wing authoritarianism at the moment. There's no doubt. In Australia, we've got that left-wing government in power, as you do in Canada with Trudeau. You've seen just that nutcase Biden and the administration in the United States there, and the comments that are coming out. More the comments in the United States, less the jurisdiction, unless you're living in New York State or California. There,
I was lucky. I lived in, I moved to Florida right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I live in Florida. So to me, we only had 3 months of lockdown, but it freaked me out to see the rest of the world be so tight on that still, you know what I mean? And then like, it's as crazy as this is, there's still places where there's still measures in place for this. And it's insane. Like Australia, to me, I couldn't believe it. You're the beacon of freedom, the beacon of Australia has always been that place where everybody wants to escape to. And this time it was just like a coordinated effort worldwide to just like boom, and it's to me like, and everybody was like, yeah, normal. That's not. It's like it wasn't, like I understand this was a weird thing, but it's not something we haven't gone through before, So I don't know, man. I'm a type of person, man. You can't put me in a cage, and it's like if you put me in a cage for no reason or for a reason that I need to have answers for, and you can't give them to me, I have a problem. Especially when you give me something, for example, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, we're not going to go into that and bullshit. But, if you're going to say something works and then it doesn't work and you force people to take it anyways, and you're going to take their livelihood away, I have a huge problem with that. And the fact that people are okay, no. so, I express myself through music. Goliath is to me the answer. It's like, no, it wasn't cool. And we're here to stand to all the crap, So, even when the Canadian thing happened and the truckers, we supported that effort with the truckers in Canada to stop this madness. And we got hit so hard on the background of it, that we were forced in a way. And I regret it. It's one thing that I'll never do again. Is I fall to some of the pressure, we kept it there as long as we could, but we were getting pressure from every single side of the Canadian industry of music, which is like, you seriously saying that to the most, a band like Kataklysm, like that we've been here since the beginning, like that's our message. It's about being free, and it's like, wow. So yeah, we can go into this. It'll be like hours of it, but it's craziness, No,
I agree. And I especially agree with your comments about Australia. I was utterly disgusted, especially by fellow citizens who were taking to social media and were hammering anybody who decided not to, who wanted to take their kids to a playground. You saw those images of playgrounds being locked down and basketball hoops with pieces of wood across them so the kids couldn't play. And just the way people's attitude was that this authoritarianism was an appropriate response. And the response could never be worse than the issue at hand. Okay. And yet we lived through that. And mate, as I said, people are voting for these left-leaning governments, and they're authoritarian governments at the moment. And, thank God for you and your family, mate, that you ended up in Florida.
Thank you. And you know what? I mean, it's they don't understand that we never left the ideas of, let's say, even a left or right leaning government, whatever. We never left the fundamentals. It's the party that left, in a way. Exactly. I see that. Oh, it's like craziness. It's like almost like we're in La La Land or something, and they're preaching all the things that they preached against. They're doing the same thing. So, I mean, it's not that I'm on one side or another of the spectrum, because I am, independent type of thing. I will, for example, in the United States right now, you also have on the left side, for example, a guy like Kennedy that's coming up, and that he's speaking truth to power. You know what I mean? He's being truthful about the things that everybody's agreeing, but he's being also censored on his own party. So it's like if you look at that, you can't be there in your right mind and look at all this stuff and say it's normal. It's just not, So, I mean, yeah, we are. Everything looks harder now. It's like from they did all this COVID thing. They helped a lot of people out with the money and all that stuff, but now they're taking it back with the inflation.
Inflation, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, people think that's normal. Yeah, so it's just another tax. You're like, hey, we're gonna just take back our money. It was just a temporary loan. We're not really helping you.
No, there's another old saying too about the left eventually eating their own, and look what they did to Tulsi Gabbard, who was an absolute lion in that process there, and they just smashed her.
Yeah, destroyed her. For what? For speaking logical things, you know what I'm saying? So I agree. I agree 100%. And and it's what freaked me out is it really in the industry itself, on the music scene. It's so many who are just like
the cowards.
Like that. And I'm like, yo, it's like, aren't you supposed to be the opposition to whatever the narrative is? Like, at least question it. If it makes sense, cool. But if it's not, it's like, boom, So anyways, we are where we are now. And I think a lot of people are waking up to all of it. And there's a lot more pushback now. People are understanding what happened, and that people are less afraid. Fear is the key for them, and if you're fearful and you're afraid, then you will succumb, to whatever,
No, and I think these sorts of conversations are very important, and that people hear them too, so as they understand where even me as a podcaster and you as a musician, what side of the fence you stand on here. And massive credit to John Joseph too. I got my first ever strike on YouTube courtesy of my chat with him, because he was going. He's calling out the entire punk and hardcore scene. You know the Rage Against the Machine song. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Nowadays it's fuck you, do what the authorities tell you. And he just calls them all out.
You had a strike for that?
Not that saying in particular, but we spoke about the COVID response in general. So we spoke for an hour and a half or thereabouts about it, and you can imagine what his take on it would be, which is that this is exactly like what our it falls into line with our perspective, if you like, and the paradigm of our thinking. And but they won't censor anybody who's pro-authoritarian, will they? They'll only censor the people who are anti-authoritarian. That's the point,
right? Of course. Yeah. But I mean, this is an ongoing battle of truth, which has been distorted. So, it is what it is at the moment.
Are you going to watch, or have you watched Sound of Freedom yet?
Sorry?
The Sound of Freedom, the movie.
No, I haven't watched that. I haven't watched it. It's funny you say that. Somebody sent me a trailer yesterday, I believe, and I was smoking a cigar outside my house in the backyard, and I put it on a TV that I have outside, and I watched that, and I was like, oh, wow, that looks like a crazy movie, like a movie that it's worth watching, I think. That's at least that for me, that's what it looks like.
It's been very I've watched with interest as The Guardian, The Rolling Stone, Washington Post, New York Times have called it that QAnon thing. They call it a QAnon conspiracy theory film, mate. So, mate, these are people who won't acknowledge that a lot of this is about a real person who went to South America to save children from child sex trafficking, by the way, and yet they're trying to paint it as a conspiracy theory film. And
the children that happened, and the children that happened to are speaking up. It happened to them, and there's nothing to see here, right? So, it's you watch something like that, and in your heart you feel it, like it's the right thing to do. I mean, when it comes to children, I have 3, and when it comes to children, I'm just like it terrifies me, in the sense of what they're facing in the future. It's like I've lived a great life, to be honest. I've been able to do what I wanted in life, and I feel very fortunate about that, but at the same time, it's like, having our kids, Yeah,
indeed. Yep. All right, let's have a quick chat about the music then. Time we've got left. So, look, I'll tell you what, I love you guys for this reason as well. Okay, great lyrics, but you've always been a really, really heavy band. Okay, and the guitars, JP's guitars, and the guitar sound in general just sounds bruising this time around. So, were you guys talking about making it even heavier than previous albums on this one?
Oh well, you know what? It's like as we spoke before, like. This record was written at the end of the entire pandemic situation. It got written in the beginning of 22. So it was kind of the phase out of it. And so we had a lot to say, a lot of anger at the same time, a lot of aggressiveness, dramatic feelings. That's what you're going to hear on the record. It does have, those crazy moments where, we're going back to like some of the speedy, like kind of Kataklysm from the old days. The incorporation of James into the band, James Payne, has really brought the chemistry to Kataklysm's past back in, as well as the future, because we're all connecting so well right now. And, we did a couple of tours before we wrote this record. We finalized this record during I think it was at August of 21. We went on tour with Deicide in the States, and that really brought the chemistry up, because it was the first tour we did together. So you spend a lot of time with your musician fellow man. So you have to really be able to get connected and understand each other. So with James, it was really good, and this is the result. It's just a great record in the sense that we've been able to put all our focus on it, all our energy, all our strength, behind it. And it's a truthful record. And I think that's what's making the impact on it at the moment.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I've only get these things in the Nuclear Blast portal, and just being busy in inverted commas, I'm a parent too and stuff. I had it on, and I reckon I haven't dived into a lot of the lyrics yet. In other words, I've got, I think, I don't know whether Nuclear Blast has supplied the lyric sheet, but certainly
You
the
like
music
them when
was.
you get the lyrics.
That's what I'm waiting for. That's why I thought, no, I've got to ask you what's going on here, because I saw the bio and thought, no, you're obviously from the same page I am. So, but look, the other thing was there's always challenges whenever you're making records. So what were they this time around?
To be honest, it was a very smooth process. The difference here on this one is we took some time in between songs and arrangements to leave the songs stay on their own for a couple of weeks, then coming back to it, learning about them. Is there anything we need to change, or they're still standing very strong after a month, after a couple of weeks? And so that was a different type of approach, and it worked great for us. It was a very cool situation for the record. There was no challenges. I would say that one of the challenges was getting those 2 videos that we did for the record on time, because it was done in Serbia, and there was some little things over there that delayed the process a little bit, but in the end, it all came together. So at the end, when a record is natural, if and it's supposed to happen, was right, for it. So it's been successful so far. The stream wise, it's the highest ever in the start that we've ever had, and I already know that it's being album of the month in many magazines in Europe, especially. And so I think there's a good moment for this record, especially for what it stands for. The artwork says a lot. I think people feel like that, and I think it's a strong record to release at the moment. I think it's the right time.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely. Yeah. What about Ex Deo? I know the album was very well received in 2021 from memory. So have you got any plans in the near future for the group?
It's as times comes forward and things move, there's less and less time to do things. But Ex Deo is still very much an important part of my life, and I think we're gonna. The plan is this fall, which I've taken some time off, will be to write some music for it. We're going to probably do an EP for it at some point. 4 new songs is the plan for the fall, so that we can release that in 24. That's some of the ideas that we got right now for it. So it's definitely still something that we're interested in.
Just with Australia being so far away from mainland Europe and the United States, would you ever consider bringing down Kataklysm and Ex Deo as a show?
Hey, I mean, I've been asked to do that thing for a long time. I don't know if we can all pull it off. We'll try, because it's very difficult on the vocals. Ex Deo is very hard on me compared to Kataklysm. It's not as hard physically, because physically I can, Kataklysm is more aggressive, and there's a lot more movement, more head banging. This thing is more theatrical, but there's a lot of narration, a lot of different vocal ranges. So it's a bit more complicated on me. So I don't know if I've never tried to do both at the same time. I'd first have to try it. And if it works, then it'd be an idea, but we definitely had a great time last time we were there in Australia, and I feel like it's a country that we could grow on for sure.
Definitely, yeah. There's a hardcore group of fans down here, as I'm sure you're aware, that love you guys, and we just love to see both. Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
What about so I know you run an agency as well, so you're a manager.
Yeah,
between the 2 bands, family life, of course, everything else, social commitments, how do you maintain balance?
I do find the time for everything, but it's difficult as things get bigger. If they get more popular and things happen, it can get challenging, especially when you have a roster of bands, that are growing. I have a lot of bands like Septic Flesh, Flesh God Apocalypse, Wolf Art, Caracangren, and Unleash the Archers, Windrose. So I have like all these bands I'm working on. Worked with Christian as well for a while. So all these bands are all bands that have been with me for a while, and they're all growing. So as they grow, they demand more. So it's one of those things where I'm really getting a lot of help from other people as well. So I'm working as much as I can, but I need it. You know what I mean? That's for me, all this therapy. It's all part of this big construct around me that I need to focus, give this energy that I have. Music to me has always been about being therapeutic, and it's I love the music for a personal thing. I'm at the gym, I'm pumping to metal, but I mean, if I am If I am, my brain needs to give an output. I think that's why Kataklysm's got 15 records, because if it's not therapeutic, you're going to wait the 5 years.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, that's right. Yeah. Hey, look, I'm just mindful of your time, so I'll make this my last question for you. But look, you've travelled all around the world. You've seen all sorts of things through that extensive travel. Can you share a memorable experience or an encounter from your time on the road? In other words, have you got any crazy road story you can share?
Well, I mean, it's. I'm going to say a different thing. I'm going to say that the what I've experienced this year is a completely different world than what it was, let's say, pre-pandemic. It's different now. If you go to Europe and all that stuff, it feels like a big depression across the world, and I've been to 35 countries. I did 72 shows in 3 months. And now we're talking about the entire European continent and all of South America. And South America less affected, but the rest, it's except for Bolivia. Bolivia, it was weird. They still have to wear masks everywhere and everything. It's strange, the only country. Everything else, it was just one of those things where you feel people are depressed and they need a pick me up, So to me, that was the shocker, because it's like, but we get it at the concerts. When the people come to the concerts, they feel free because it's our church, and that's the place where everybody's the same. Doesn't matter what creed, what race, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're all here to listen to metal, and it's and I think that still exists. So for me, that's the hope, that's like, we still have a big voice. And so that was a shocker for me about the difference of things. Like, I could tell you thousands of stories about, people getting in my bus, getting drunk, falling off the bus, and all this crazy stuff that happens on tour. These things are still happening in many ways, even if we're a little older. But that's the thing that stood out to me the most. It's just a different world, and we either adapt to it and change it to our vision, or it becomes whatever it is that it is now. And I'm hoping for the best, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I think that's all we can do at the minute. Yeah. Well, fantastic chatting to you. Thanks so much, mate. It's been a fantastic conversation. Look forward to seeing you guys down here whenever that might be. I'll certainly be in the audience.
We will come as soon as we can, as soon as we get the opportunity. And I really appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. All the best to you, man.
What a ripper of a yarn that one was with Maurizio. I always appreciate it when someone invests in a very mature perspective on what's going on across the political spectrum and society. We've all got to live in it. There's no point burying your head in the sand. Maurizio is a great example of a musician with a balanced view. Now, if you like that conversation, there are more just like it over at scarsandguitars.com. And whilst you're over at the website, maybe you like investigating my book, Scars and Guitars, Volume 1, Conversations from the World of Heavy Metal and Beyond. Click on the link in the banner specifically on the website and you'll be taken to a marketplace of your choice, and you know what to do. Yes, indeed. There's more information to share with you about the book in the moment, but before we get to that, I'll bid you a fond farewell. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. Until next time, it's a very goodbye for now.
This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew Mackay-Smith.
I've been the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast since 2017. The first musician I interviewed for the show was David Vincent from Morbid Angel, and things have just snowballed from there. In all, I've posted almost 650 podcast episodes featuring conversations with many of the leading lights of rock, heavy metal, and beyond. It just got to a point where I thought, I need to write a book about all this, so that's exactly what I did. In Scars and Guitars Volume 1, you'll read a heap of deep reveals and commentary, such as Des Fafara talking about Coal Chamber and why the band will never return.
If you're a band just starting out, you need to hear me. Do not start a band with partners. Ever.
Yeah, wise words, sage advice, mate, for anybody.
Don't ever, because I can't go do Coal Chamber right now unless I get others involved.
Phil Anselmo talks about the episode in his career which gives him the greatest sense of accomplishment.
I think the staying power of the fans and the staying power of of the songs, you know, whether it's Pantera, Down, or Superjoint, the fans remember the songs.
Alex Skolnick from Testament confirms that, yes, playing the guitar in Ozzy's band is anything but an ordinary gig. Will Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir write a book? Pa from Sabaton gives advice to people who want to start a band.
Look at the team around you, look at the bandmates. If the guys want to be on the stage, then it's all cool. If the guys want to be backstage, then it's not going to be cool.
Current and former members of Cradle of Filth discuss the band's seminal 90s material. Read about the reaction to George Lynch and Mark from Suicide Silence's comments when they throw shade at then President Donald Trump.
We have this idiotic monster, you know, this egotistical, self-aggrandizing, complete piece of shit in there. I just can't understand how we've gotten to this place.
And yeah, we kicked a hornet's nest with Sepultura. Percussive overlord Gene Hoglan talks about recording with Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck was always, he was very open-minded, and he was into having his musicians that were playing with him just reach out for the best stuff that they had.
Phil Campbell from Motorhead discusses what it takes to get sober. John Five answers his critics who dismiss his tenure with Marilyn Manson.
You know, my name is John Five, and Manson gave me that name, and I had some of the best years of my life in that band and learned a lot.
And we get the lowdown on Treyarch Zagtoth from those who would know, including his mother. All across Scars and Guitars Volume 1, there are moments of tension, relief, tragedy, exhilaration, and throughout it all, you'll obtain insight that I believe no one else has managed to obtain from many of your favourite artists. So treat yourself. Scars and Guitars Volume 1 is currently available as an ebook with a print edition on the horizon. Follow the links attached and download a sample. I'm sure you'll be compelled to read the whole book.